Stugotz here for 1-800-Flowers. Nothing makes a summer birthday more magical than a vibrant bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. Just picture the look on your birthday girl's face when she sees her gorgeous bouquet being delivered. Whether she's at home, work, or school, no one can deliver a smile like 1-800-Flowers. And right now, when you order a dozen multicolored roses for just $29.99, 1-800-Flowers will give you another dozen plus a vase absolutely free. That's a 50% savings, 50% off the original price. These gorgeous roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak and shipped overnight to ensure freshness and your friend or loved one's amazement. They make a great surprise for birthdays or even just because. A dozen multicolored roses for just $29.99 plus another dozen and a vase for free is an amazing offer, but it expires Friday. Every bouquet is backed by 1-800-Flowers' 100% smile guarantee. When it comes to planning the perfect birthday surprise, I don't settle for anything less than 1-800-Flowers.com. They are the best. To order a dozen multicolored roses plus an extra bouquet and a vase for just $29.99, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, enter code Dan. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code Dan.
Don Le Batard.
Are you not alarmed by how much Stugotz ate last night?
Stugotz.
I had no idea. He ate a lot. He was pretty gross when I left. I had no idea that he went on this, grazing.
Well, here's the weird thing about Stugotz, too, though. When Stugotz eats here, he never finishes anything. I know because I'm always cleaning it up.
Oh, it's infuriating.
After he's left.
He leaves one wing.
No, but
well,
no,
in
that's...
case someone wants it,
Just eat the wing.
I thought Roy always ate the leftover wing.
Roy always throws it away.
All right, I'm a slub.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Customers who switch to Progressive save an average of $500. Call or click today and find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Manny Pacquiao's welterweight world title defense against Jeff Horn, along with the rest of the card, will air live on ESPN beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern on July 1st from Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Australia, after promoter Top Rank and the network made a deal. Andre Ward defeated Sergey Kovalev via TKO in the 8th round to retain his light heavyweight titles, improving to 32-0. Main event CEO Kathy Duva, who promotes Kovalev, said she will file a protest with the Nevada State Athletic Commission because she believes Ward hit Kovalev below the belt several times before the TKO stoppage that earned him the victory. And finally, Ronnie James Dio's wife has slammed Gene Simmons' disgusting attempt to trademark the devil horns rock and roll hand gesture. Wendy Dio says the devil horns belong to everyone. It's public domain. It should not be trademarked. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
And I do think that Gene Simmons stole it from Dio, too. I think that's part of what's in play here. And the Dio family doing the popular opinion thing. They're doing the Stugotz of the day. The devil horns belong to everybody. You can all do it. Gene Simmons wants to copyright it. Dio's wife said Rodney James Dio created this. All right, I have made the mistake of looking at some texts. I'll just give you a sampling here, general sampling.
I told you to stay away for at least a week.
Put me down in the turned it off column. Heroic soldier, charisma of a sea cucumber. That's just a sampling.
Come on.
Well, that's what's happening.
I know.
That's what's happening. And wait a minute, Wait a minute. You're not off the hook here. During the break, and Stugotz sometimes, and it makes me mad. This makes me mad that he could be such a terrible teammate and it could still be funny. Because Stugotz just recused himself from everything that's happened around here. And during the break, okay, this is all he said to me, and he could barely get it out through his laughter, snorting laughter, as if he's watching the show but not a part of it. Like he's just observing us drowning, and he's on the boat with a hoagie, pointing with one hand, laughing at us drowning. This is what he said during the break. He said, Allison is a total mess. And it's snot's coming out, and he's having trouble breathing, and everyone's reeling. He said everyone back there is reeling. The whole show is reeling from the unwinnable situation of talking to Jon Stewart while he's with a wounded warrior. And I think we talked to the Wounded Warrior more than we talked to Jon Stewart, which I understand the audience getting mad at us about that.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's rattled. No one wants to make eye contact with you. Allison's going to be a mess.
That's what you just said. All right, let me figure out what's going on back there, because that's what just happened. Actually, what he said is Allison's rattled and everyone else is reeling. The shipping container is lost. It's floating out to sea like Wilson. Guillermo, tell me what's going on. Wilson, the volleyball from Castaway. Give me what's going on back there.
Well, Allison started pretty early with, I feel like Dan hates me. Does Dan hate me? I think Dan hates me, which is a daily thing. But like this time, this is when I pounce. So I go, I feel it too today. Like I feel that that's what's happening.
Good job, man.
So then I ask her, have you apologized to him yet? Yeah, because that's what she does. I'm like, how many times have you apologized? She's like, I can't look at him. I'm hiding from him
today. She was hiding from me. That is when Stugotz. I love Stugotz's Mystery Science Theater play-by-play of things happening to this show as if he's not in the middle of them. Like he's just wandering on the outside and he's like, look at that. Allison doesn't want to look at you in the face, Dan. Allison's rattled and the rest of them are reeling.
She's actively avoiding you today. Like she is not
hiding.
Which could be good for you, by the way, in the future, because she bothers you a lot in the break. So just pretend to be mad at her and then she won't talk to you.
Brings all her neurosis right behind her. It's like it's tethered to her like cans on the back of a wedding car.
She did this. She did this thing though, where at one point during the break, I looked over. Now she wasn't making eye contact with you, but she was clearly in your line of vision, and she was laughing, acting as if she wasn't sweating what just happened.
All right, Allison, come on,
which
here.
I've done before. Trust me, I've done it before.
Allison, what happened? Tell me? I want to see this through your eyes. If you're just joining us, Jon Stewart was on with us. He's promoting the Department of Defense Warrior Games, or as I like to call them, the Duty Warrior Games.
You were rattled.
The Duty Warrior Games.
Tough spot.
Department of Defense. The reason I was calling it the D is not just because the O is lowercase. It's because sometimes when you say the letter D and you don't say D as in Dan, people hear it as a B or a C or a V. And so that's why, in my meager defense, that's why I was calling it the Duty Warrior Game.
So it could have been the Booty Warrior
It could have been, right. But anyway, I would go to those. The Booty Warrior Games. Be all about those. Allison, what's happening here?
With what?
Where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm
Are you
here,
indeed
but
rattled?
I don't really want to be here.
Are
No,
you
I'm good. It's good. It's over. It's good.
Well, how do you feel about how it went? Jon Stewart was so happy with how it went.
Yeah.
I mean, can I go?
No,
It was okay. It was hard. I knew it was going to be hard. It was a hard interview. It was certainly hard to hear some of. I don't want to be here.
Okay, fine. Get out of here.
Rattled, man.
There's a difficult navigation because I think we went like 2.5 minutes too long. They were giving us a hard rap at 39, and we were letting that thing ride because, I mean, they were telling us to rap in the middle of his PTSD story, and you can't really eject there. Like, I understand you want to
Really?
rap.
Wait a minute. There was somebody doing that?
Yeah. Like, I understand the situation. Like, we had technical difficulties for the first segment, and everything pushed back. Like, there was a SportsCenter hit that was affected, and our little stupid show shouldn't be affecting SportsCenter hits, so I get it. Like, they're in a tough spot, too.
No, but I'm not going to rush the Wounded Warrior and tell him to wrap up his story about having post-traumatic stress disorder so I can ask Jon Stewart some silly question about the Mets.
No, understood. It was a tough situation for all, and it'll be equally tough for me when I call somebody and apologize after the show.
But I do wonder if Jon Stewart enjoyed that enough, if he thinks well of us enough that he'd be willing to do another interview without the Wounded Warrior. Maybe he'd be willing to do that.
Maybe.
Because Dan did do
or maybe he'll climb into the same hole he's been in and doesn't do media avails unless he has something to promote.
Right, but Dan did a terrific job of really promoting that event. And
I did a personal show for Jon Stewart there. I did not help the audience.
I mean, if you were trying to make Jon Stewart happy, you were successful there because I immediately put him in queue after his mic went down, and I just kept hearing him say, "That was awesome. That was awesome. That was great. That was great."
I'm just glad I stepped aside and let you do your thing, man. No one does it better than you.
Are your weekend observations ready yet? Because all you've done today is laugh at the show. You've just been over there standing in that corner, and we'll get our revenge tomorrow, Feinbaum.
The next 2 days, you will.
Tomorrow for sure we're going to get our revenge here. I'm going to enjoy watching the show tomorrow and laughing at the show as you pay off your Cleveland Cavalier bet and have to, shave your head like Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah. I have sent the observations to Mike. I am not. I'm not aware if they're ready or not. Mike, are they ready? Are they close to being ready?
I mean, you're light this week, but I'm trying to.
Light?
Yeah, you're a little light this week.
Weekend observations next.
Don Le Batard.
This guy writes in, due to my love and support for the show, I have decided to take on the heavy lifting and establish this petition to get Stugotz on Around the Horn.
Stugotz.
In order to sign, please send an email to gotsthehorn@gmail.com. No, hold on, it gets better. Including your name, address, date of birth, social security number, mother's maiden name, an image of your signature, bank routing, and account number. Hashtag not a scam.
Attaboy.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We will get to Stugotz's weekend observations in a second. I do find it interesting that Kaepernick is riding this out. Kaepernick, on his Twitter account, is attacking only social issues. You're not hearing from him on football matters.
No.
You don't know from him what he thinks of everything that's happening around him right now as he's jobless. He appears to be concerning himself in meaningful financial ways and in terms of time commitment to this cause that has made him more famous than he has ever been.
And people are saying he's not doing himself, if he wants to play in the NFL, he's not doing himself any favors, or he's not trying hard enough to get back in the NFL. Otherwise, he would shut up. And the point is, he should be able to say the stuff that he's saying and do the stuff that he's doing and still have a job in the NFL.
Well, if it is harming him, and I think that he said that he was no longer going to be kneeling, and we all took that to mean, okay, he's now entering job interview status. He's going to remove the kneeling from the equation and protest, but he ain't eliminating the cause. The only thing you hear from him publicly is about police brutality and is about injustice against black people. He is not talking football.
When it comes to football, he just leaves room for speculation by retweeting certain articles like, the Seahawks were never serious about bringing Colin Kaepernick on. Like, you're left to wonder, what does he mean by retweeting that?
Well, the thing that I wonder about, because the latest thing that he has done in a tweet storm is compared America's police force to the slave police. And I understand why it is that he would make police brutality his cause. And this weekend, again, some things happened that brought it to the forefront, where you've got an unarmed person, a mother who had called the police, being shot. What I think here I can separate, and it becomes dangerous to separate, is I can understand where and how Colin Kaepernick arrives at some of his positions, scared on behalf of black people, and the general helplessness and hopelessness that comes from the idea, come on, man, the government is giving these officers guns. Don't use them that way. Do not use the weapons that the government and the power the government has given you to be disproportionately unfair to my people. But I also understand why some of the measures that he's taken to advocate for these causes are being viewed as over the top. And any time, for example, the socks that he wore with pigs on them, that is not the right message. That is not the right way to do that in a mature fashion. And this particular thing that he's doing now, that language is so loaded, Stugotz, that he could do all the same things without mentioning slavery.
Right.
Now, sometimes to cure racist dysfunction, you have to make people uncomfortable with your verbiage and otherwise. Some things don't change with the majority and with white people until you've made them uncomfortable. So discomfort is part of that cause. But I almost always now at this age realize that summoning slavery is not something that's going to get you heard. Slavery analogies do not help just about any cause, because then it becomes an argument about how it's not like slavery. And then it's well enough to say, hey, police officers, don't kill black people disproportionately.
Are you saying that argument buries what he's really trying to?
I'm not saying it buries. I'm saying it's getting in the way. It doesn't bury it. I'm just saying that anytime you hear anything compared to slavery, the conversation mutates into something else that isn't about what it is that you're trying to bring attention to.
Sure.
It becomes an argument about how it's not like slavery. Oh, shut up, millionaire athlete. What do you know about slavery? And then everything gets distorted after that. We're going to get to Stugotz's weekend observations here in 10 minutes. 10 minutes from now, Stugotz's weekend observations are ready to go. But I want to ask you this question as Adrian Wojnarowski, not yet of ESPN, reports that Paul George is out in Indiana, has told them he's out and that he would prefer the Lakers. And Stugotz is wondering whether that's the right way to do that. And I'm wondering, is there a right way to do that? Because I've seen all the ways that everyone has tried to leave, and it's never been the right way. Whether it's LeBron hosting a television show or Carmelo largely being quiet while telling the Nuggets, hey, I don't want to be here anymore, but being publicly quiet where he wasn't saying those things publicly. They didn't have his words on it.
I think Paul George was close to doing it right. If he just could have removed that little line, I'd prefer to go, and he didn't say this, these are reports, maybe it's his agent, but if you take out that line, my preference is to play in L.A. for the Lakers, then he did it exactly right. Because he's giving the team that's been good to him and the fans in the city that's been good to him a chance to kind of, hey, you got 1 year left, you have a chance to kind of trade me, I'm not going to be here anymore. He's giving them time to think about this, and he's doing it before the draft. So I think Paul George is pretty close to getting it right.
Texter writes in, Dan, take your fat ass on a ride-along in a high-crime area before you judge officers. I've done that, actually. Now what? I'm not saying all police officers are bad. I'm saying many of them are and have done bad things. And I don't know how much more proof of that you need. And on the other side of this discussion, there are many black people who have done things wrong, which muddles things. Because one of the things that happens here is we become all or nothing about these things. Police officers are either bad or they're just bad, or they're good and just good. And there's so many degrees between Charles Barkley coming on here and when I'm asking him about black people being more threatening to police force, Charles Barkley comes on here and just shouts, "But we're crooks." Like it's not quite that absolute on either side, which muddies things because it sounds like when we take sides on this issue, we do tend to be pretty absolute on both sides of it.
It's an important conversation. I'm glad someone's having it. That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Unbelievable, man. You just don't give me nothing. You gave me nothing there. Just nothing. You had me longing for that Jon Stewart interview.
I mean, you asked me about Paul George, and then you pivoted back to this, and I didn't know what to do, man. I was in my comfort zone with NBA free agency talk.
I spun you around. You loved it. You were so comfortable with the Paul George talk. You settled right in. And then how disappointed were you when I went right back to ride-alongs and police brutality? Like, what was your level of disappointment? You just want to keep talking? You just want to keep giving your opinion on Paul George?
Yeah. I mean, listen, he almost got it right in terms of leaving a team. He was so close to getting it right. If he just left that little part about, hey, I want to play for the Lakers.
Who's gotten it right? Who's actually gotten it right? Peyton Manning? I mean, he was pushed out.
Yeah, well, he got it right. Peyton got it right. And the Colts got it right because they had Andrew Luck behind him, so Peyton Manning's the guy who got it right.
My larger point is there is no getting this right. If you leave a fan base where you were sort of homegrown, if you leave, that fan base is going to feel betrayed. And it doesn't matter how you deliver the news. It doesn't matter whether you package it in a TV show. It doesn't matter if now you've given them the time to go and get assets in exchange for you.
Less betrayed if you get those assets, though. Less betrayed if you get a guy like Kevin Love, right?
Less betrayed, but still betrayed, because ultimately you're telling that fan base, you've got more money, you've got $40 or $50 million more for me, and you still are not good enough. I don't want to be here, and that's going to offend the customers, no matter how you deliver that particular message.
In terms of delivering the message, did Dwayne Wade get it right? I know it's a unique circumstance.
That was a mess, too, though. That was a mess. I mean, he got the obituary, he got the while he was still alive, he got the standing ovation from Miami, but it was still a mess. I'm telling you, I believe that the reason that nobody does this right is because there is no right way to do it.
To find us on a station near you, visit ESPN.com/ESPN Radio and click the station locator tab. Dan Le Batard.
I met Rob.
You've met Rob Kardashian.
Remember I went to California last year with my family? I was waiting with my daughter outside his house, and he just happened to come out.
Did you see Rob or you met Rob?
I said hello to Rob.
Did he say hello back?
No.
That's not a meeting.
That's not a meeting.
Stugotz.
And Ken Jeong was at the gym with me. Ken Jeong. He was doing the treadmill. I was doing the elliptical. I only went on the elliptical to try to spark up a conversation with Ken Jeong.
That's the only one I believe out of the three.
It's the saddest thing I've ever heard. It's true.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Manny Pacquiao's welterweight world title defense against Jeff Horn, along with the rest of the card, will air live on ESPN beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern on July 1st. From Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Australia, after promoter Top Rank and the network made a deal. Andre Ward defeated Sergey Kovalev via a TKO in the 8th round to retain his light heavyweight titles, improving to 32-0. Main event CEO Kathy Duva, who promotes Kovalev, said she will file a protest with the Nevada State Athletic Commission because she believes Ward hit Kovalev below the belt several times before the TKO stoppage that earned him the victory. And finally, from 2009 to 2015, more than $4.5 billion disappeared from a Malaysian government fund and made its way across the globe through various shell companies and shady bank accounts. Now, the U.S. government is looking to get some of that money back, and in an interesting turn of events, the investigation has led feds to a Hollywood production company called Red Granite Pictures. The DOJ has accused Red Granite of partially funding movies like The Wolf of Wall Street and Dumb and Dumber 2 with stolen money.
DOJ?
What did I say?
DOG. You said dog.
The dog has accused Red Granite of partially funding movies. It's the DOJ. Sorry about that. Rock This Way with Jersey Mike's and Pepsi, and you could win the music trip of a lifetime. Stop in to Jersey Mike's to enter Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes end in August. Actually, August 14th. See official rules at PepsiRockThisWay.com. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I'm in no position to make fun of your DOJ reference because I call them the Duty Warrior game. DOD Warrior game. So
it doesn't matter, man. Make fun of me. I deserve it. It's fine. It's okay, man. I said DOG. I can't believe I did that. Actually, I can. But
time now for Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Dan, the NBA draft is here. A week where a bunch of sports radio gas bags will give their opinions on Markelle Fultz without ever watching Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz, good size, great court vision, natural scorer. Jumper needs a little work. LeBron James, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, L.A. Lakers, collision course.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's the new dream team. Like, that's the team. That is the new team. I am telling everyone, in 2 years, not next year, but in 2 years, LeBron, Paul George, they tap in to the disdain that Westbrook has for Kevin Durant. They form a super team in L.A., and they take down the Golden State Warriors. And you know what else? Dwayne Wade coming off the bench. George Springer said he will not participate in the home run derby. Said he's just not a fan. George Springer. Guess what I'm not a fan of?
George Springer.
Bingo! You are on it, man. Good job by you. The Browns say Brock Osweiler has come a long way. Translation, someone, please believe what we're saying and trade us anything for Brock Osweiler. Roger Goodell reiterated that he does not believe Colin Kaepernick is being shunned. Roger, you were right. He's not being shunned. He's being blackballed. Roger Goodell, if you don't think Kaepernick is being shunned, do me a favor. Explain the New York Jets. By the way, Woody Johnson, reminder, you are gutless, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Odell Beckham Jr. said this is the best he's felt headed into a season. Odell, that's something a guy says who's been in the league for 15 years. Odell Beckham, you are entering your 4th season. Fox, you've had it for years now. Do everyone a favor. Learn how to cover golf. Justin Thomas, your time will come. The Singh brothers, constant interference in Jinder Mahal matches is sullying and prestige of the WWE Championship, and something needs to be done about it. Steph Curry, carpool karaoke with James Corden. Hilarious. Steph Curry, I hate when you force me to like you. James Corden, reminder, you are a one-trick pony. Steve Kerr, in his speech after the parade, mentioned all the key pieces of the Warriors except Steph Curry. Steph Curry, congratulations on becoming an afterthought. Steph Curry, any team not coached by Steve Kerr, collision course. I'd like to thank everyone involved with our show's success. Billy, Fat Chris, Allison, Roy, and Mike. You know what the Yankees have hit? A bump in the road. Indians, D-backs, World Series, collision course. This week's Things You Say That You Don't Really Mean award. The Pacers are really close to challenging in the East. Congratulations to Paul George. This week's runner-up, the Dallas Cowboys, for saying they believe in Kellen Moore. You know what the Mets have hit? Rock bottom. Dan, love the Shantix commercial with the dad who quit smoking and seemingly replaced the time he spent smoking sitting at a hibachi table with his son. Sir, the only thing less healthy than cigarettes is the amount of butter used on that fried rice.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, you haven't noticed that? You see? I mean, they put like a stick of butter in that stuff. It's amazing. In fact, I'm guessing that cigarettes are healthier than the butter used on the fried rice. I love the onion volcano. Embiid, Simmons, Ed Fultz. Watch out for the Sixers. Sam Hinkie, you won't be appreciated until well after you are gone.
Like an artist?
Yes.
All his stuff is going to have more value once he's dead?
Correct.
Or is that not the gone that you meant? You just meant gone from the Sixers organization?
No, the artist. That was,
okay.
gone from this earth. Yes.
Okay, very good.
Johnny Miller on Justin Thomas, tying his record for lowest round in U.S. Open history. Said Thomas did it during the Milwaukee Open. Johnny, pretty sure what I was watching over the weekend was the U.S. Open. Johnny Miller, the Stugotz, is strong in you. Myles Garrett, bust. Colin Kaepernick, CFL, collision course. NBA offseason, more entertaining than the NBA season. Baron Corbin, future WWE champion. Bank on it. LeBron to the Lakers. Paul George to the Lakers. Number 2 pick. Is Magic qualified to run the Lakers? Now seems like a pretty ridiculous question to ask. And I can't believe Dan ever went there. Brooks Koepka, the second most impressive thing you did yesterday was win the U.S. Open. If Brooks Koepka wasn't busy conquering the golf world, can we all agree he'd be busy conquering the adult film world? Brooks Koepka,
really?
Stars in the Ryder Cup. Another Sunday at a major. Another Ricky Fowler. Choke job. Bill Cosby, you avoided prison. But you know what's impossible to avoid? Hell. And when you get there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. Dan! Those are the weekend observations.
Why is Odell Beckham hanging out with Johnny Manziel? Is he trying to bother the Giant?
Yes.
You don't hang out with Johnny Manziel for any other reason. I should say, no, I take that back. Probably is a lot of fun to hang around with Johnny Manziel. but it's probably not what you want to do to your employer, is it?
No, but he said he's never felt better headed into a training camp.
Of course. I mean, ecstasy feels great.
Splash.
I meant the emotion. Of ecstasy.
We know what you meant.
Feeling bliss.
You got it, man. All good. You see this Koepka guy, man? My wife told me, I'm serious, mid-round yesterday. I mean, she just glanced up at the television. She said that if Koepka would take her, she would leave me. She would leave me.
Does your wife actually have these conversations with you, or do you just put this on your wife so you can talk about it?
Well, she asked about him. I said he's from West Palm Beach. She said he's very cute. How old is he? I said he's 20-something years old. I think 27. And she said, wow, he's hot. And then she went on to say, if he was willing, I would leave you for him. And I said, hopefully he's willing.
So you weren't interested in the Beckham conversation that I just tossed out there? You wanted to stay with your...
I started the Beckham conversation.
Describing a golfer as a porn star?
I mean, I throw things out there for everyone to...
kill the adult film industry?
Yep. Ryder Cup.
I thought you were going to make another joke with Ryder.
Don Le Batard.
Blink 192.
Stugotz.
Miko.
That's a fine.
Oh, Blink 182. Ah, bleep it. Do I get fined for that?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you get fined.
I thought they were names of people, not
just
bands.
Names in general. I mean, come on,
Blink
man.
192.
I know. I made it 192. That's funny.
You put this in place, man. You know what? I still owe $1 from
No,
last week.
wait a minute.
No,
from last week.
Hold on.
That should be more than $1, Dan.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We were talking about Colin Kaepernick. He is active on his social media accounts, but he is not football active. He has thrown himself into these causes. He has made this a life choice. He has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in his own money because he is trying to rectify this injustice. The injustice, his protest is really about police brutality. And the part that's confusing to me about this, Stugotz, is I feel like we should all be able to agree that police brutality is wrong.
Right.
And if you don't believe it exists, you're ignoring so many decades of obvious behavior that is now being caught more and more on videotape. But let's just say that you are one of these people who's writing in, as many of you are. Well, look at the stats. African Americans are more likely to attack police officers than other people. And I think this is just a cycle of black people have reasons to feel more threatened by injustice at the hands of police officers than the rest of us. And now what you guys are arguing is that, well, police officers have more reasons to be threatened by black people than the rest of us. And I just don't feel like you're paying attention to what's happening in mass incarceration. If your answer to some of these conversations is, well, black people are just worse as people. They're just worse. They're more likely to be bad than white people are. I don't feel like you're paying attention to what's happening in the criminal justice system, what a business proposition the criminal justice system is, and how many soft crimes are filling our legal system in a way that's disproportionate to black people. I feel like you're just not paying attention. You don't want to know what's true there.
Should they want to know? Because, listen, we all know that it exists, but I'm guessing the people who refuse to admit that it exists, you're right, are living in places where it does not exist, and they're not paying attention to it. So should they? Should they know?
Of course they should. The white experience and the black experience is very different when it comes to police officers in America.
But you know it's impossible for everyone to care about something that doesn't affect them. I'm not excusing it.
I get what you're saying, but Christ, if you don't care about police brutality against a people, the hell can I get you to care about?
Right. That's a great point.
So Kaepernick has dedicated himself to this. You can't get a word from Kaepernick on whether, go ahead and start the storm. You want to see the media get the storm started? We're doing this without his help. Usually, Venus and Serena have been very careful with this over the years. There have been a number of things that have happened in that sport that they haven't inflamed because they've chosen to take the higher road. But if Venus or Serena say, that's racist, I'm offended, it inflames an entire situation. Kaepernick has avoided doing that. He has not said anything publicly that will allow us to feed. He has not said, I believe I'm being blackballed. This is ridiculous. He hasn't said anything except on his Twitter accounts where he's doing. It can't be argued. Can it be argued that he's doing good work?
Oh, he's doing amazing work.
But can that be argued? Are you willing to take the other side on that? He is trying to bring attention to an injustice with the power that sports gave him. And the only way that you can ignore him or dilute his cause is if you don't believe it to be an injustice. And I believe that's where the separation point is. And I'm looking at you like, what do you mean it's not an injustice? Like, how can you look at the things happening in this country and not agree that white people and black people have a totally different experience with the police force? Again, this is not, I feel like Kaepernick's message gets confused, that people think it's anti-American or that people think that he's protesting the flag or the military. What he is protesting is police brutality. Why would you object to that? Like, I don't get it. I'm at an honest loss for why would you object? Like, I don't think you could dispute it. Why would you object to the idea of he just wants police officers to stop mistreating his people?
Well, I think some people would try to dispute it. I mean, it seems ridiculous to try and dispute it, but I think a lot of people would dispute it because, Dan, they've never dealt with it,
okay.
and it's not where they live.
But if they're trying to dispute it, do you realize how the starting point on that has to be? If you're disputing it, the starting point has to be black people are worse than white people. That's where you have to start. More dangerous, more criminal. And I'm not willing to buy on that one. Why would you?
I think people would also say you've never been a cop, you've never been put in that situation. What would you do?
Okay. I would try not to feel more threatened by black people than I was by white people.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.